I want to talk about something that's been on my mind. I've been feeling a bit financially behind, and I know that I'm not alone in this feeling. So I started looking for answers and found some surprising insights, and in this video we're going to explore how our perception of success and wealth can be skewed by who we surround ourselves with and the influence of social media. We'll dive into the story of two celebrities which helped realign me and how I perceive other people. Society's obsession with extraordinary success. We live in a world that's obsessed with extraordinary success, wealth, and also status. Everywhere we turn, we see stories of millionaires and billionaires, and it's hard not to feel inadequate in comparison. Sometimes we look at our age and set ourselves expectations of what we think we should have achieved. And this brings me to the story of two famous artists, Vincent van Gogh and Paul Gauguin, whose contrasting experiences can teach us a lot about the importance of staying true to ourselves in our financial journeys. Paul Gauguin was more successful and popular among the avant-garde circles of his time. Despite this, Vincent van Gogh never stopped creating his masterpieces, even though he didn't achieve the same level of success during his lifetime. This story serves as a reminder that it's possible to be content and driven, even when we're not at the top of our respective fields. Their experiences can help us shift our perspective and focus on what really matters in our financial lives. This brings us to the question of how we compare ourselves to others. Now, it's natural to feel average when surrounded by exceptional people, but let's take a moment to explore what average actually means when it comes to earnings and how our perception of average earnings is often skewed by our social circles and the people we compare ourselves to. My story about a broke friend. I used to hang out in a bar called the Sugar Lounge in Manchester in the early 2000s. David Beckham would sometimes drink there, and that just gives you a little bit of an idea about the clientele. So as you can imagine, the drinks weren't cheap, but luckily I was friends with one of the barmen, so the drinks were cheap for me. I used to put my drinks on a tab, which totaled £5 at the end of the night. Now, one night, I got chatting to a guy who seemed quite successful, and he was wearing an Omega watch, which is a high-end luxury watch brand. I mean, even James Bond has got one. Do you know what I mean? They're very high-end. So as we got talking, he confided in me that he felt broke and poor, and he was like the poor friend of the group because all of his friends had Rolex watches. To the rest of the world, this guy was successful, but in his social circle, he felt inadequate, highlighting the significant influence that our social circles can have on our financial satisfaction. If I'm totally honest, I sometimes feel like that too. I've got a handful of friends who've done really well for themselves and are quite wealthy. I don't feel insignificant, but I know that I can't keep up financially if they want to go to high-end places because I can't afford to. It's hard not to draw comparisons with other parents from our kids' school with bigger houses and fancier cars, but this is when you have to take stock, refocus, and remember what path you're on. Positional concerns, social comparisons, and the impact of the internet. A study on positional concerns showed that our happiness with our financial situation is heavily influenced by people we surround ourselves with. In other words, we tend to feel better about ourselves when we're doing better than our peers. The internet and social media have only amplified these comparisons as we're constantly bombarded with images of people living luxurious lives, making it difficult to feel happy with our financial situation. Reframing our perspective and understandings, savings and spending. It's essential to reframe our perspective on success and recognise our privileged positions. Comparing ourselves to the top 0.01% isn't a fair benchmark, and it's important to remind ourselves that the majority of the world's population lives on much less than we do. By looking at how much people actually save, their spending habits and debt levels, we can gain a more accurate understanding of what it means to be doing well financially. How much do people save? UK saving rates have been on the rise in recent years, partly driven by the FIRE, which is Financial Independence Retire Early movement. However, a significant percentage of people have minimal or no savings at all. Savings rates vary across income levels, with higher earners generally saving a larger portion of their income, which makes sense. The average savings by age group in the UK also differ, reflecting the different stages of life and financial priorities. Here's a quick overview of the UK savings stats for 2023. The average person in the UK has £17,365 in their savings. 34% of adults had either no savings or less than £1,000 in a savings account. 61% of UK adults save money either every or most months. Next, let's examine spending habits. Many people borrow money for necessities or live above their means, which can negatively impact their financial well-being. The average UK household budget is divided into several spending categories, including housing, transportation, food, and entertainment. Comparing household spending to the median household disposable income can give us a better understanding of how people manage their money and whether they're living within their means. And this leads us to the concept of enough, knowing when we have enough resources to lead a comfortable and a fulfilling life. How much debt do people have? Debt levels have been rising more since the cost of living started to climb in 2022. A combination of steeper fuel bills, the cost of food, and mortgage rates rising haven't helped either. And it's important to recognise that meeting financial goals and being ahead of the pack doesn't necessarily mean being debt-free. It's all about managing debt responsibly and having a plan to pay it off. Comparison can have a significant impact on our financial satisfaction. It's crucial to seek ways to overcome these comparisons and feelings of dissatisfaction to improve our overall well-being and financial health. The role of competition in human nature. Competition is deeply ingrained in our human nature. Our history has shaped our competitive instincts, driving us to seek resources, status, and mates. The N effect is a phenomenon where increasing the number of competitors can decrease competitive motivation. Now, this finding, discovered by psychologists Stephen Garcia and Aris Halam-Tor, shows that people perform better in smaller competitive pools. The N effect's driven by social comparison with higher pressure to excel in smaller groups. This concept has implications in education, sports, business, and politics, where creating smaller groups or focusing on closer rivals can enhance motivation and performance. However, the N effect's presence and strength depend on factors such as task, difficulty, feedback, personality, and goal nature, as some individuals may be motivated by deep-rooted interest or personal standards. The N effect illustrates how subtle changes can influence human behaviour and challenges the assumption that more competition always leads to increased motivation. The problem with modern competition in finances. The issue with modern financial competition is that we're constantly exposed to each other's success through social media and the internet. And this never-ending chase for wealth can leave us feeling inadequate and dissatisfied, even when we're doing well by objective standards. Understanding the difference between extrinsic and intrinsic motivation is essential in achieving financial success. So extrinsic rewards like money can impact our motivation and behaviour, but relying solely on these external factors can lead to burnout and discontent. Intrinsic financial goals are driven by personal values and desires, which are more likely to lead to long-term satisfaction. Intrinsic financial goals could include achieving financial independence to pursue a passion, a comfortable retirement, or supporting loved ones. By focusing on these personal goals, we're more likely to feel satisfied and motivated to improve our financial well-being. Now, back to the story of Vincent van Gogh and Paul Gauguin. Despite the difference in success between Vincent van Gogh and Paul Gauguin during their lifetimes, Van Gogh continued to create his masterpieces. He faced numerous challenges, including financial struggles and mental health issues, but his decision to focus on his work ultimately led to his posthumous success after his death. Van Gogh's unwavering dedication to his craft, despite his lack of recognition during his lifetime, becoming rich might have made his life easier, but his lack of wealth never stopped him from doing the one thing he really loved: painting. Learning from the story of Van Gogh and Paul Gauguin can help us understand the importance of intrinsic motivation by financial success. By focusing on personal goals rather than external competition, we can foster a healthier perspective on our financial well-being and achieve a greater sense of satisfaction. It's crucial to recognise that everyone's financial journey is different, and what might be considered doing well for one person might not be the same for another. By avoiding the trap of constant comparison and embracing our own unique paths, we can find greater financial contentment and celebrate our achievements, no matter how big or small they may be. To further improve your financial well-being and satisfaction, consider implementing the following strategies. Set realistic financial goals. Be honest with yourself about your financial situation and establish goals that are achievable and aligned with your values. Break down your goals into smaller and manageable steps to make them more attainable. Track your progress. Regularly review your financial situation and monitor your progress towards your goals. This will help you stay motivated and focused on what's truly important to you. Create a support network. Surround yourself with like-minded individuals who share your values and financial goals. This support network can provide encouragement, advice, and accountability, helping you stay on track. Limit exposure to social media and excessive comparison. Be mindful of the time that you spend on social media, on your phone and on the internet, as constant exposure to other people's success can lead you to feel inadequate. Instead, focus on your own journey and celebrate your personal achievements. Practice gratitude. Cultivate a mindset of gratitude by regularly reflecting on the positive aspects of your life, including your financial successes. This can help you shift your focus from what you lack to what you already have, meaning that you have a greater sense of contentment and well-being. Remember that your financial journey is unique, and it's essential to focus on your path rather than constantly comparing yourself to others. By implementing these strategies and learning from the story of Van Gogh and Paul Gauguin, you can foster a healthier perspective on your financial well-being and ultimately achieve greater satisfaction and success. I hope you found these insights helpful and feel inspired to embrace on your own unique financial journey. Remember, it's not about competing with others. It's about finding fulfillment and contentment in your own life. I hope you found these insights helpful and feel inspired to embrace your own unique financial journey. Remember, it's not about competing with others. It's about finding fulfillment and contentment in your own life.